The dust tasted like iron and regret. Silas the silent Blackwood spat, wiping his mouth with the back of a calloused hand. The sun beat down on Copper Canyon, baking the clapboard buildings and the parched earth until the air shimmered. He's been tracking the Carson gang for 3 days, and the trail, like his patience, was running thin. The Carson gang wasn't famous for grand schemes or bloody rampages. They were opportunists, picking at the edges of civilization like vultures. A stagecoach robbery here, a store held up there, small enough to be irritating, large enough to keep the territory's meat of law enforcement stretched thin. Silas, a former Pinkerton, wasn't officially a lawman. He preferred to work as a problem solver, but Sheriff Brody had made it clear he appreciated Silas's particular set of skills. The trail led him to the outskirts of town, to a ramshackle saloon called the Rattlesnake's Case. It wasn't Brody's favorite establishment, far too much trouble brewing inside, but it was a convenient location for the Carson gang to lay low. Silas adjusted the brim of his hat, the shadow concealing his face. He wasn't known for his talkativeness, but he was known for his effectiveness. Inside, the saloon was a haze of smoke and cheap whiskey. The usual suspects populated the room, miners looking for solace, ranchers celebrating a sale, and a scattering of drifters with nothing to lose. Silas scanned the room, his eyes sharp, assessing the situation. He spotted 3 men huddled around a table in the back, their faces obscured by hats and shadows. Carson's hen. Silas moved through the saloon with a quiet grace, his hand resting on the butt of his Colt peacemaker. He stopped at the bar, ordered a whiskey neat, and waited. A fight erupted near the back, a clumsy brawl between a miner and a card sharp. Perfect. Distraction. Silas used the commotion to move closer to Carson and his men. "Evening, gentlemen," Silas said, his voice a low rumble that cut through the noise. Carson looked up, his eyes cold and calculating. "Heard you were enjoying the local hospitality." "Mind your own business, stranger," Carson sneered. "I am. Folks around here don't appreciate thieves." "You got a problem with that?" Carson's hand instinctively moved towards his own weapon. Silas didn't flinch. "I have a problem with dishonesty. It poisons everything." The argument escalated quickly. Words turned to threats, and the saloon fell silent as everyone anticipated a shootout. Before it could happen, a woman's voice cut through the tension. "Enough! This is my establishment, and I won't have it." It was Delia, the owner of the Rattlesnake's Kiss. A woman of formidable presence and even more formidable fists. She's a legend in Copper Canyon, known for her sharp wit, even sharper temper, and uncanny ability to keep order. Silas had met her a few times, and he respected her. She commanded the room. "Sheriff Brody will be here shortly," Delia continued. "A gaze fixed on Carson and his men. I suggest you leave. Now." Carson hesitated, clearly annoyed by the interruption. But Delia's reputation preceded her. He knew better than to argue. "Fine," he spat. "But this ain't over, stranger." He and his men stomped out of the saloon. Silas watched them go, then turned to Delia. "Thank you," he said, the words rare and carefully chosen. "Don't mention it," Delia replied, wiping down the bar with a rag. "Just try not to cause too much trouble yourself." "I try not to," Silas said, taking a sip of his whiskey. He left the saloon, the setting sun casting long shadows across the dusty street. He knew Carson wouldn't give up easily. This was just a temporary setback. He needed to find their hideout, figure out their plans, and bring them to justice. The next morning, Silas followed a faint trail of discarded supplies to a secluded canyon a few miles outside of town. It led to a small cave, hidden behind a curtain of thorny bushes. He crept closer, his hand on his Colt. He could hear voices inside. "The stagecoach route is vulnerable," one voice said. "We hit it tomorrow at dawn." "Brody's been sniffing around," another voice warned. "We need to be careful." Silas took a deep breath and burst into the cave, his Colt drawn. The Carson gang was caught completely off guard. A brief, chaotic gunfight ensued. Silas moved with a precision born of years of experience, taking down 2 of the gang members before they could react. Carson, however, was faster. He managed to fire a shot, the bullet narrowly missing Silas's head. Silas returned fire, hitting Carson in the shoulder. The outlaw stumbled, dropping his weapon. Silas quickly disarmed him and pinned him to the ground. "It's over, Carson," Silas said, his voice cold and unwavering. As Silas waited for Sheriff Brody to arrive, he noticed something odd. Lying next to Carson was a familiar-looking ledger. He recognized the handwriting instantly. It belonged to Elias Thorne, a wealthy landowner known for his dealings with shady characters. Silas cautiously opened the ledger. It contained detailed records of Thorne's financial transactions, including payments to the Carson gang. Suddenly, Silas understood. Carson wasn't just a common thief. He was being used. Thorne was manipulating him to disrupt the region, to drive up land prices, and seize control of the territory. Brody arrived, his face grim. "Good work, Silas," he said. "You cleaned up another mess." "Sheriff," Silas said, holding up the ledger. "I think you need to take a closer look at this." Brody examined the ledger, his expression hardening. "Thorne," he muttered. "I should have known he was involved." "He's been paying Carson and his gang," Silas explained. "He's orchestrating all of this." Brody nodded, his gaze fixed on the ledger. "This changes everything," he said. "We need to bring Thorne in." As Brody and his deputies led Carson and the rest of the gang away, Silas watched them go. He knew this wasn't the end of the story. Thorne was powerful, and he wouldn't go down without a fight. Silas had a feeling that he would be seeing a lot more of Elias Thorne in the days to come. Later that evening, Silas sat on the porch of his small cabin, staring out at the vast, starlit desert. He felt a sense of unease, a feeling that something big was about to happen. He was a man of few words, but he knew one thing for sure: his work in Copper Canyon was far from over. A faint shadow flickered at the edge of his vision. He turned, his hand instinctively reaching for his Colt. Standing there, silhouetted against the moonlight, was a Native American man, his face obscured by feathers and shadows. "You seek justice," the man said, his voice a low whisper. "But justice has many faces. Thorne is but a pawn. The true danger lies deeper." Before Silas could respond, the man vanished into the darkness, leaving Silas alone with his thoughts and a chilling sense of foreboding. He knew with a certainty that settled deep in his bones that he had just stepped into something far bigger and more dangerous than he could have ever imagined.